With the weather getting colder and colder outside, what better excuse to stay inside to play some longer board games? Now, I personally don't need an excuse to play board games, but if you do, well, hey, now is a great time to check out some board games that take longer to play. Hello, I'm Jay Cormier. I'm a board game designer as well as an employee at Best Buy Canada. Now, I'm a fan of games that take about an hour or so to play, but there are times when I'd love to sink my teeth into something a little bit meatier, play a little bit longer, something that'll feel a bit more epic, right, and more immersive. So I'd like to share two such games with you today that tickle my fancy that provide longer game sessions. Let's take a look. The first is called Charterstone. Now this is one of those legacy type games. Now have you heard of this yet? I've talked about them before, most notably Pandemic Legacy. Now in legacy games, you continually get to open new envelopes and boxes that contain new components and stickers that you affix to cards and the board, forever changing your copy of the game, making it unique. Now Charterstone is interesting because it is competitive, unlike the cooperative game of Pandemic, but there's no combat or fighting each other. The other big selling point to me is that the game isn't destroyed once you play through all the scenarios. Once you're done, you get to keep playing on your final board as much as you want. In fact, you would have a completely unique version of Charterstone to play compared to anyone else in the world. Let's check out how it works. Now, when you open up a box and take out the board, you're immediately presented with a mystery. I mean, look at all these boxes. I wonder what's in them. You're not supposed to open any of them until you're instructed to do so. Whew, exciting. I can't wait. Now, first, it tells us to open the index box. All right, so we unwrap each of them, but keep them in the same order and don't look at any of them. Full of secrets. The game tells us to read card number 1, which gives us some thematic story in the italic section. And then some of these cards are actually stickers, and you're told to place them in the rule book as you continually add more and more rules to the game. All right, what's next? Well, read the card fully, and it says check out card number 2. See, this is awesome. You're learning the game as you set it up. It's teaching you the concepts of the system you haven't even started playing yet. Okay, card 2 says we get to check out the scriptorium. That sounds enticing. That's where the components you need, like coins and various resources, are located. Next, we assign a charter or area of the board to each player and give each player the charter chest matching that symbol. Inside, you'll find some more tokens. You also get to take an identity of who you'll be, as well as a starting card for your charter, which is actually a sticker. So guess what you get to do with it? Yep, you get to stick to the board in your area. It's very engaging to know that you're changing this version of this game forever as you do this. Now, after a few more cards are revealed, you're ready to go. In the game, you're going to be gathering resources and constructing buildings or hiring assistants to complete objectives. Here's what happens when it's your turn. You can place one of your workers on a building or take back a worker from the board. When you place your worker, you return any work to its controlling player, and then you pay the cost as shown on the left, and you get the benefit on the right. For example, I could go here and get 1 coal, as there's no cost, or you can go to a building in the commons area to gain other benefits, or I could go here to accomplish any of the objectives. Another cool thing about these legacy style games is the customization that it allows. Like in Charterstone, if you're the first one to hire an assistant, then you get to name that assistant. That's so cool. The goal of the game is to continue to place your workers to gain resources so that you can do things that gain you points. The player with the most points wins. Once you finish the game, all players are going to get a certain amount of glory. Now, these are points that you assign to benefits of your choice for all subsequent games that you play after this. The winner gets to color in one of the trophies, which is worth points once you've played through the entire campaign, which lasts 12 games. So Charterstone, while the game itself may not be a long game to play, the fact that you're so immersed and so invested into these characters and the world that you're building, you're going to want to play it the entire 12 times as quickly as possible to see what happens next. It's so addictive. So that's one way to spend your autumn nights and weekends, is to play a game that is like a campaign and it changes and grows as you play it. Another way would be to play a game that has some sort of asymmetry or variability in the setup. Asymmetry means that each player starts with a different objective or a different power or ability, maybe different starting resources or location. So let's start by taking a look at an asymmetric game also by Stonemaier Games, ironically, called Scythe. First of all, this game is gorgeous with its anachronistic settings of mechs in the 1920s. Players start with one of the different factions, and each faction is totally different in how it plays. And this is what I was referring to about asymmetry. This means that most players are eager to play it again, if only to experience a different faction to see how they have to change their strategies as they explore the depth the game has to offer. And each player is surrounded by hexes, with each hex providing one resource of some kind. Now, movement in this game is very slow, so you will be thinking quite a bit as you figure out your best course of action. On your turn, you choose one of the actions available on your faction board, except for the action that your worker is currently on, so you can never do that action twice in a row. So what can you do? Let's take a look. You can move, and you can produce to get more resources. You can trade to get the resources you don't have access to, and you can bolster your army, because sooner or later, hey, you're going to be fighting with your opponents. When you move onto a hex with another player's pieces, you will fight. You use combat cards and select how many points you want to assign to a fight by using a cool secret dial. The winner keeps the hex, but the loser goes all the way back to their start. But I want to make sure you understand, this is not a game that has a lot of combat, as the penalties associated with fighting are pretty harsh. Even winning the fight causes your popularity to go down. So if you're looking for a combat game, this really isn't it. But if you like a little bit of combat mixed in with your strategy, you can keep watching. Throughout the game, you'll unlock the ability to move these cubes, and when you do, you choose where to place it, which makes that thing cheaper to do in the future. Or when you get to place a new mech on the board, it also unlocks a new power or ability. And everything here is unique, so that each player's faction board is different. But each faction board can be paired with any of the power boards, so there are tons of different permutations and combinations to experience. There are also cool events that you can experience when you land on certain hexes, and they're all interesting and have awesome art. And if you get to the middle, there's a factory there, and you can get a new card that gives you a unique option of what you can do on your turn. They're all more powerful than your basic options on your faction board. To win the game, you need to accomplish any of the objectives in the game, like getting to the top popularity track or winning some combat. So if you like games that give you a lot of choices and variety in how you can explore its depth and figure out what are all the different strategies as you play and replay the game, then check out Scythe. So those are two games that I would recommend playing on these long autumn nights, Charterstone and Scythe. But feel free to comment below on some long games that you like to play during the fall nights, and let's have a little chit chat about it, okay? Thank you so much for watching.